Skyfall is the 23rd James Bond film of the series. It came out 3 years ago in 2012. And as of today, Monday the 19th of October, as I'm filming this is my favourite James Bond film of the entire series. Getting right into it, one of the reasons Skyfall is my favourite James Bond film is because the story is just so different and so interesting. And one of those reasons is because of M, played by Judi Dench. She is a central character in this film. In the other films, she was there at the start being the exposition, and she'd come at the end being more exposition. But in this film, she's actually a main central character. She's one of the important figures in this film. And because M is more of a central character and she's actually the main motivation for the villain, I personally think it makes the story more interesting than any other Bond film before it. Speaking of the villain, we have Javier Bardem playing the villain Silva. Javier Bardem, as of right now, is my favourite Bond villain of the whole series also. I like Javier Bardem's villain because he's such a different Bond villain in the sense that he's not working for any organisation, and his motivation is not for terrorism causes or getting money or wanting to take over the world. His motivations are personal. He wants revenge, and we haven't really seen that in a Bond villain before, at least not that I can think of. Plus, Javier Bardem was just perfect for the role. He is awesome. The first half of this film is your typical James Bond stuff. He's pursuing his targets all over the world. He sleeps with an incredibly attractive woman. He meets the villain on his evil island hideout. You know, some good old-fashioned James Bond stuff in the first half. Then the second half for me went in a completely different direction. Bond and Silva are having these chases in the London Underground. There's a big shootout in the Westminster conference room. It's some really exciting stuff. And for some reason, I love the fact that the whole second half of this film takes place entirely in the UK. I found it a nice change of pace from the previous Bond films, where the second half of the film would all take place in some exotic country. I just like that Bond stuck to his home turf. Then we get to the final act of Skyfall, and this is personally one of my very favourite final acts I've ever seen in a film. It all takes place in James Bond's childhood home, Skyfall, in the middle of the Scottish moors. One of the reasons I love it so much is because I personally found it to be really unexpected. I did not expect this film to go into James Bond's past or childhood at all. So back when I was first seeing this film in the cinema, I was like, whoa, we're in James Bond's childhood home, and it just went in a completely new direction, just took the film even higher for me. But it's not just because it takes place in James Bond's childhood home, it's the fact that the shootouts that happen inside the house and outside the house are amazing. Bond, M and Kincaid are laying these booby traps with the homemade little bombs that they have. M's getting in on the action and shooting some guns, which is always awesome to see. All of this awesomeness combined with the great music and the cinematography, it just makes it one of my very favourite third acts I've seen in a film. Putting the foot on rewind a bit, going back towards the beginning of the film, Skyfall does do a good job at incorporating some of the classic Bond elements into it without making it feel cheesy and unrealistic. I like when Q and James Bond are doing their little briefing. Q gives James Bond his gun where only he can fire it because it's coded as his palm print, giving him his passport, everything he needs for his mission. It's great seeing Q and Bond have their little briefing at the start of the film and have their banter. It's great seeing those elements just thrown in there for the classic Bond fans to love, because really Casino Royale, as an amazing film as it is, didn't really have any of the old Bond elements to it, or at least I didn't think it did. But Skyfall is like the modern James Bond film for old James Bond fans. So classic Bond fans will love it, modern Bond fans will love it, so overall the film is just a win for everybody. So in the end, Skyfall has a really interesting story that places M in the foreground. The acting is amazing, the action is incredible. Apart from being a really exciting action film and a great Bond film, it's also a really well made film in terms of the cinematography, the direction, the writing, the camera work, so you can have fun with the film but also appreciate how well it's made. Like I said at the start of the video, as of right now, Skyfall is my favourite James Bond film of the whole series. I absolutely loved it. I watched it the other day, still amazing film to me, and of course I'm going to give Skyfall full marks, 5 out of 5. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Tell me in the comments below what you thought of Skyfall. If you like this stuff and you want to see more of my stuff, then click here to subscribe, because I got stuff coming to you guys all the time.